Listening, fill in the blanks.
Let's start.
While Reeves was working on his invention, Bell and another man, Elisha Gray, were also working toward the invention of the telephone, though by an indirect route. Both were, in fact, seeking ways of allowing multiple telegraph signals to travel along the some telegraph line, a system known as a harmonic telegraph. Bell worked in Boston while Gray was based in Chicago, and the two were rivals in their area of research for both inventors. The perfection of the harmonic telegraph proved too difficult in both, separately but at around the some time, changed plans and started on the development of a telephone.
Competition between the two continued for about 2 years, but all the while, the Bell Company was mounting a legal challenge to Western Union, claiming it held the only true basic patents for the telephone. It based its claim on the fact that Bell had beaten Gray to the patent office, and so should be the sole recognized inventor of the telephone. Eventually, Western Union had to agree with Bell and gave up its telephone rights and patents to the Bell Company. The telephone company's entire network of telephones was handed over to the Bell Company. As compensation, Western Union was given 20% of revenue from rental of its former equipment. This arrangement was to last until Bell's patents expired. Unlike in other armies in the war, the Australian soldiers were all volunteers. They were also more individualistic and showed less respect for the rulebook than other soldiers. The relationship between ranks was more democratic and officers had to win the respect of their troops. All in all, they paid a high price for fighting in the war. Of the 324,000 soldiers who served overseas in the war, 215,000 were killed or wounded. This was the highest proportion of any of the countries in the war and was probably due to the Australians' fighting qualities, which meant that they were often used on the front line of the fighting.
At home, the war had a significant effect on the economy. Negative effects included the end of British investment, the closure of many shipping lanes, and the stockpiling of Australia's main export, wool. However, the isolation that resulted from the war meant that Australia had to make some things that had previously been imported. This led to the development of new industries. In addition, the BHP Smelting Company, which is now a major Australian company, saw a great increase in demand for iron and steel. The needs of the war were a stimulus for the beginning of full industrialization in Australia. Researchers from the European Organization for Nuclear Research, CERN, in Geneva sent the neutrinos hurtling through an underground corridor toward their colleagues at the Oscillation Project, with emulsion tracing apparatus, OPERA, Team 730 kilometers away in Gran Sasso, Italy. The neutrinos arrived promptly, so promptly, in fact, that they triggered what scientists are calling the unthinkable, that everything they have learnt, known or taught stemming from the last 100 years of the physics discipline, may need to be reconsidered.
The 15 known species of Portia jumping spiders are relatively small, with adults being about 2 centimeters long, that's smaller than the cap on most pens. They habitually stay in the webs of other spiders, and in an area of these webs that is as out of the way as possible. Portia spiders live mostly in tropical forests, where the climate is hot and humid. They hunt a range of other spiders, some of which could easily turn the tables on them. They will attack something about twice their own size if they are really hungry, says Stimson Wilcox of Binghamton University in New York State. Wilcox and his colleague, Kristen Gentile of the University of Canterbury in Christchurch, New Zealand, wanted to find out how Portia spiders keep the upper hand.
It appears that experimental, situational, and cultural factors are even more powerful in shaping wisdom than previously imagined, says Associate Professor Igor Grossman of the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. Recent empirical findings from cognitive, developmental, social, and personality psychology cumulatively suggest that people's ability to reason wisely varies dramatically across experimental and situational contexts. Understanding the role of such contextual factors offers unique insights into understanding wisdom in daily life, as well as how it can be enhanced and taught.
All jumping spiders have large eyes that look like binocular lenses, and they function pretty much the same way. Most jumping spiders locate their prey visually, and then jump and capture from 1 centimeter to over 10 centimeters away. Only a few species of jumping spiders invade the webs of other spiders, and the Portia spider is among them. Jumping spiders, including Portia spiders, prey on insects and other arthropods by stalking. Sometimes the spiders lure their victims by vibrating the web to mimic the struggles of a trapped insect. But many web-weaving spiders appear to be wise to these tricks, so stalking is often a better strategy.
The researchers allowed various prey spiders to spin webs in the laboratory and then introduced Portia spiders. To simulate the shaking effect of a breeze, the zoologists used either a model aircraft propeller or attached a tiny magnet to the center of the web, which could be vibrated by applying a varying electrical field. The researchers noticed that the stalking Portia spiders moved more when the webs were shaking than when they were still, and they were more likely to capture their prey during tests in which the webs were penormally shaken than in those where the webs were undisturbed. If the spiders were placed onto unoccupied webs, they would make no attempt to change their movements.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.